We're going to go live. We're live. What are we waiting for? We're live. We're live.
I thought we were always live.
No, I was waiting to prep with you. I wouldn't just like. I wouldn't just hit. I wouldn't just broadcast us like.
Oh, that's
straight off the get-go.
Oh, that's what we're arguing for is the live.
I've never heard such a fast. I've never heard such a fast introductory chat straight into deep theory. You'd like that was like record time, even for a conversation that we have.
I mean, my eyes are closed. You know, I've got giant eyes. You know,
that's right. Yeah.
Big eyes. Big eyes are the thing. You gotta have big eyes on the world. You know. Eyes.
Big eyes.
The eyes. The eyes. The eyes of the truth, right? Like they. But the eyes are only an instrument, right?
Yeah. They're a media in some way.
Yeah. They're one part of the story. It's one part of the story. We understand the world beyond our eyes. And we talk about, like we were talking about earlier, about the idea of the spectacle.
Yep. We were.
Okay. The idea that the eyes as being like even Kant in his like breakdown of like when he's talking about empiricism, he focused on the eyes. Right? And arguably the ears are arguably another type of empirical system. But what is the ears talking about or listening to versus the ears? Or I'm sorry, versus the eyes. I'm sorry. What are the ears listening to versus the eyes? What are they actually? I mean, are the eyes actually listening?
Well, it's interesting because you can close your eyes, you can't close your ears. I think we established that when we talk, you you have so many ideas to the point where I'm just like, I'm not sure how to contain both your ideas, I suppose, and you in the most humane, egalitarian way possible, which is lovely.
Well, welcome to the club. Welcome to the club. I mean, I definitely appreciate you guys wanting me to write about stuff. But the problem is like because I am trying to bridge so many different frameworks all the time. I don't know which language to use appropriately.
I know what you mean.
Like like which one is able to communicate the thing that needs to be like to establish some type of understanding or meaning.
Because the problem is you have to in some way use some sort of unit language that's consistent with itself, at least in your way. It doesn't matter whether you use a different word in terms of other people, but if you're sort of saying like a kind of if you have a term that you want to use in a certain way, I suppose it's okay. But at the same time, it doesn't matter which way you're going to use. I'm just going to lock the cat in that room. I'm not locking. I'm not like a monster. And we'll be right back. I'm just going to right back. But we have something to talk about. Come on. And like a pig to slaughter. Okay. So it has been 3.5 weeks since our last little meeting, and I think it was a good little thing to sort of give you that kind of time. I know, and I think what we did was really good.
And give you the time.
Give me the time. That's right.
Yes, because I'm fucking crazy.
And I wanted to do that to sort of
I'm still creating the time. We're still discovering time.
That we are discovering time where, there's maybe re-earning time, not being so impoverished to time. But yes, but you are you have said that you've come up with the ideas for 2 essays, and I think the last time we sort of spoke on this channel, we made a we had a kind of idea that we could help write a book as your book as a series of essays that kind of all are kind of married to each other in a certain way. There's a kind of like family of essays, and I think that's a really good way to go. And then within a few days, I think you said to me that you had two essay ideas in your mind, and one was causality, and one was identity. Am I correct?
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Okay. Cool. Which is wonderful. And I wanted to sort of like, because we're both kind of hippies a little bit. I would imagine that.
I mean,
go on.
oh, well, I mean, why would you do that to yourself? First off, why would you like put yourself in that category? But regardless,
Well,
look at this
category.
shit. I mean, look at this shit. I mean, I guess I'm a hippie. I mean,
it was just a useful word. It was a useful.
I appreciate that. I mean, you know that has all sorts of genealogical implications, right?
Absolutely.
The concept of hippie has to do with beatnik.
Yeah.
You know what beatnik culture is about? There's a lot
not working very much. Am I correct?
Well, nihilism.
Okay.
There was a lot of nihilism in that culture.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And that concept, and the beatniks would go into cafes and they would argue about cosmological nihilism versus cosmopolitan nihilism.
That's a very beautiful thing. Should I be writing notes? I was always happy to write notes. I just didn't think I would write them so soon.
I discovered this through a movie or a show or something. Like I didn't even know this is even a thing, that these are things that beatniks were talking about at some point in time in history.
Yeah.
Right. And arguably, like our conversations aren't not new. We're not talking about the new. We're talking about like the old.
Mm-hmm.
And we're talking about like how we can incorporate these old conversations that were neglected or even canceled.
Yeah.
Not talked about.
Mm-hmm.
These cultures in time, and like, and that we're not just talking about communism. We're talking about like people, actually, at this point. You know, because like have you heard about like the concept of the cultural turn in historiography? You know what historiography is?
Good Lord, no.
Well, historiography is the concept of the idea that history is pertained within a certain narrative structure. And whenever we analyze history, we use a particular lens upon history. And that's historiography.
Okay.
Okay. And Marx is a perfect example of it. The idea of labor versus, the class, like class consciousness. There's like proletariat, and like the idea that's a historical narrative, a way to see history. It's a narrative. It's not necessarily not true or untrue. It's a true thing, but it's just one lens to see history. There's other ways to see history.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
And
Yes, it's a very postmodern sort of take, I suppose, on like, how we actually view history, especially not as a progress thing, and what causes the other one. And I want to sort of get to how the essays have come along and what you have.
I've been dealing with a lot of emotional shit as always.
That's okay. I mean, the thing, like, I'm here to help you. That's what we're here for,
I mean, I really I've been trying to grab myself out and trying to like build around like actually, the idea that these two narratives about identity. I want to speak about identity. Okay.
Yeah.
It's becomes difficult because, and I say those two things, but like arguably, like I'm working on this framework of the idea of the quantity versus the quality.
Quantity versus equality, or quality in general.
Quality.
Just quality. Okay.
Quality. What is quality? What is quantity? Right. Quantity is like the only thing that is real is the quantitative aspect of the world. Okay, and it plays in back where I was mentioning the idea of the phenomenal.
Obviously, yeah.
And how we can talk about what is statistically real and actual.
Yeah.
And when we focus on that as being the only thing that is real and define as the real, we're ignoring the qualitative aspects that which is arguably the historiographical aspects of how we talk about these facts of the world. These facts. The quantitative is the fact of the world. Like we're flying through space on a rock, for example. That's a cosmological nihilist, like cosmological nihilism. We're dead already, per se.
Yeah.
Because that's cosmological nihilism. Okay.
Well, yes. I mean, are there any notes that you can possibly show me? Like, it doesn't matter what it is. I mean, if there's nothing, if there's no notes yet, we can create them together. Is my point. If you have anything that you wanted, any sort of structure or sort of way that you were wanted to speak about, like how you structured the word, or any sort of notes or little one-liners, or any sort of text that you have already written down, I'd love to see it. I'd love to expand on it with you. If you have nothing at the moment, we can just create it together.
No, I'm down with the creation together, and the truth of the matter is I need you, Jimmy. Okay, this is like I can't do this alone. Okay.
Yep.
Okay, that's like my intelligence is not my own. I don't own it.
Yes. Well, before you get into another point, I wanted to ask. So, is there any document at all? I mean, if not, then we can just.
I mean, on my Facebook shit and I'm trying to get I can my problem is whenever I make a claim through writing or text, I have an issue and a problem with it being a actual prescriptive claim.
Well, absolutely. And this is something that we've mentioned a couple of times. It becomes a static, dead object in another way, and in its prescription as well. This is this is the argument of saying, why would you start a business in global capitalism? That doesn't necessarily mean, and it's the same sort of thing. I mean, I want to. Where would I look on your Facebook? Because I'm going to start briefing something out. What should I look on your profile, and then I'll look at some of the.
It was probably some comment thread. I'm sorry, Jimmy. Don't be looking on my Facebook.
I'm not gonna. I won't do it. I'm gonna do it on my phone. And I was just gonna have. I was looking for inspiration. That's all I was gonna do. I'm looking for inspiration.
When I say this stuff, a lot of the stuff that I think about, I'd never put to word. Right?
Yes.
So,
and you speak, and yes, this is why I'm here.
I mean, a lot of things on my brain is super fast, and so when I go to write something out, it becomes something different than what my brain is already thinking about.
Yeah. This is the entire thing. This is the whole problem.
Yeah, so it was very difficult for me to translate even the way when I even my words or my brain to text to actual text. Because I arguably it's because I did a bunch of mushrooms once upon a time, but
so it's a great source of inspiration. It's just hard to actually put it into words. By the way, hello, whoever's viewing. I'm not sure who it is. It might be for you or something.
Literally, I once broke my mind on mushrooms.
Yeah.
Where once I when I did these mushrooms, right, and I ended up in a place several months later where I couldn't write. Coherent. Everything everything I wrote was poetry. Not on purpose.
Yeah.
and I'm still recovering from that. And
I'm still recovering from being damned to poetry.
I'm just telling you is that in arguably I went to school before. Since then, I've gone to school and done some calculus and actual scientific papers and actual creative writing and stuff to help me ground out like how I can write and stuff. But regardless, I still have this poet aspect of the way I interpret language.
Yeah, that's fine. I mean, the thing is that's fine. And like, and one thing is one thing's very interesting is oh wow, I can't believe Easy's actually started. I didn't even post it on Twitter, which is fantastic. I'm going to do that in a second, Easy. That's one thing and that's not a problem. I mean, Nietzsche's very poetic and Kieran's very poetic. Nietzsche builds philosophical systems. Kieran far less so. They're both still philosophers, and I
think that the idea that poetry is separate philosophy is just
it was bullshit. Yeah, it's bullshit. I want to sort of be the I want us to do that and just sort of say that I'm looking through some of the stuff. There's a lot of memes here, but there's always these nice little aphorisms that I want to sort of take, and then we can maybe flesh them out. And I saw one that said, and if you don't mind me saying it, I think you're mistaking me for someone else that I remind you of. And I feel like if we're talking about identity as one potential essay, that sounds very luminescent of that. And I'm wondering if there's if that was indicative of any larger kind of point that you wanted to say, or anything you wanted to really sort of put into a large amount of words at all.
Again, because I'm not learned, and my concern about speaking over other voices how it concerns me. We're talking about the epiphenomenon. Right? The idea that there's a phenomenon which is real, supposedly the causal. If the causal world is the real, and the phenomena is causal thing defined as the causal, and but what about appearance? You're not seeing the truth, right? Like nobody really sees us. Like I know you, Jimmy. We see each other, but like we're still trying to see each other.
That's it, man. Okay. Go on.
That we're both epiphenomena of ourselves in this transcript. It's in this context of this thing. Where there's a piece or part of us, or even a paraconsistent aspect of ourselves. But the idea of the self itself is even paraconsistent. Now I'm getting really crazy about it when I'm talking about paraconsistency, but
I'm just going to
like Cotton was like arguing like philosophy is about consistency recently, or regulation.
Yes.
The regulative. And the regulative speaks kind of like towards gatekeeping or something. Like, you keep out the trash or something. Yeah. Like, and arguably that's like, to me, that's a fucking sorry take on philosophy, honestly.
It's exclusionary by nature. Is it? When you say that something that is just merely kind of, I don't know, like a very vague endeavor in a good way, in a kind of like, this is what.
Hold on. Arguably, yes, philosophy by nature is regulatory. But that regulatory is based on the idea that they allow for folks that are inclusive within their world, like being inclusive philosophy.
Yep.
And like they don't want to but true philosophy wants to exclude the exclusive, which is something like what's his name? Not Schopenhauer, the paradox of the tolerance guy.
Stirner?
No, it wasn't Stirner.
Okay.
Paradox of intolerance is
Popper.
Popper, yeah. Paradox of intolerance, right?
Yeah.
You have to necessarily exclude
Yeah.
the exclusive.
Okay. Papa. Okay, I'm going to write these things down because I feel like this is related to identity in a certain way. Obviously, everything is related to everything in some way. It's just whether, basically, if you want to really break it down, whether what you write is meaningful or enjoyable. I suppose, it doesn't even have to be like sort of right or kind of like this writing or anything.
Me roll a smoke. I want to hear your speech, and I want you to encourage me and give me like. All of a sudden, I feel like I love you, dude. You really are one of my muses in my life. So it's like I want you to allow me this moment, to allow
Yeah.
let me just go in.
Get a smoke. I'll roll myself one as well.
I'm rolling the smoke as I roll. So as I'm gonna roll smoke, I want to listen to you.
Okay.
So I'm gonna smoke right now. So just do it.
There's not really a speech I have in mind. I suppose what I just wanted to say was I want to be able to navigate your words to basically create something that is meaningful. And the real problem with books is that they are from the here to here. They go left to right. They go, from A to B, and it's a complete linear thing. It's from one word to the next. That's the unfortunate thing. But that is the situation we are in, and this is why there's going to be a certain amount of tension between me wanting to be able to sort of cage your ideas in something that can be linear without caging you, which is a bit of a hard balance to strike.
Yeah,
this is what we're here for. This is what we're here for.
Like, and again, I'm just a person, and arguably you're the same person as I am. If we get real deep about it, like I'm talking about like some existential freedom, like cosmopolitan freedom, even, versus cosmological freedom. Yeah, like cosmology, cosmology is real. We're all flying through space in a rock. We're all going to die tomorrow. Blah.
What would be okay? So I'll ask it.
That's not new news. That's not news. That's not. That's old news. It's like, duh. So how do we imagine and conceive of a world beyond that?
Right.
When it's baked in within Christianity, there's always an end. Like I'm dead already. We're already dead, right? Right. But like cosmopolitan nihilism is about oh, we're already fucking dead. We don't need to go through the death thing. We don't need to acknowledge it. It's like, oh, we're already dead. What about so there's something beyond
it? That's the thing. So would this in terms of rather than just sort of death as an abstract thing, to sort of be like, oh, we're dead, and the way we think about our identity could be challenged. Is this maybe a central tenet of what you want to talk about with identity?
Well, the identity has to do with reification of ego or self.
Okay, that's good. Okay, sure.
Okay? The idea that we want we're still alive, regardless that death is real or exists or whatever, or potential, whatever it is. We're still here and awake and alive and shit.
Yeah.
But now what?
Yeah. Okay. So I'm going to ask you a question. I'm going to ask you, what is, if you were to have all of your ideas and identity sort of put down or boiled down into maybe sort of one or kind of the most frequent idea that you have concerning identity, what would you be able to sort of define that for me? Would you be able to sort of say this is as if not like the main one, because main is a loaded word, but something like the one in which you can generate all the other points from. Or there might even be two or three, but as long as there's a number where we can sort of pin down.
Let's start here. I'm a Taoist.
Okay.
And it's not in the Western concept of it. Okay. It's so much like the idea of progressivism and the idea of Taoism, like about being progressive, is like I just recently had somebody post on my timeline about Jordan Peterson and
Jordan
shit.
Peterson, yeah.
Yeah, and like he mentioned Taoism. I was like, stop. Jordan Peterson has nothing to do with Taoism. First off,
Mm-hmm. I mean, yeah, he'd be like
and
a weird kind of Confucian, but like it's not a huge stretch.
and hold on. The thing is that I'm a white dude, and I don't. I'm aware of my participation in Orientalism, and the ability to do orientation by my identity with Taoism.
Yeah.
But from what I understand about Taoism, is not the same thing as doesn't equate to Western logic or whatever.
Sure. But I want to sort of say, like, would okay? So, but look, would the Tao for example, would Taoism be sort of relevant in terms of how you talk about yourself as a Westerner that says he's Taoist, or are you talking about Taoism in a sense of how Taoism affects your viewpoint of identity? Because they're different things, I'd say.
Yeah, no, maybe both. You know, but like I'm not obsessed about Taoism. I'm like I have books on my counter that I like because one of the most influential, like, so you know who Lao Tzu is?
Yeah.
Like, but he's not the sum and whole of Taoism,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like, you know who Shuangzi is, right? I think we've talked
You
about it.
mentioned him. He spoke about something I've forgotten about. But yes,
Okay, like the idea of the dreaming of you of being,
butterfly.
yeah,
Is a man? Am I a man dreaming he's a butterfly, or a butterfly dreaming he's a man?
right. And that's
Mm-hmm.
the Shuangzi interpretation of Taoism, right? And and like with more of an embracing of the chaotic and disorder itself, of the dream itself,
Mm-hmm.
the dream as being part of who we are, versus
Mm-hmm.
like
Okay. Now I think we're getting somewhere because you've mentioned this a lot of times and you've managed to pull us in. So now we're getting somewhere. So, okay. So Schwan. Okay. Now I'm getting something in my head. I'm really getting something in my head for you. And it's not my ideas, it's just your ideas, but you've said them in a certain way. So give me a second, all right?
yeah,
Sunrise butterfly, dream analogy. I confess. Wait. That's before. That's before. Okay. Let's do this. I confess my okay tendencies.
first
Leave
off,
me.
dream always asleep. Is this always is are you're dreaming when you're awake?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, what is awake? Oh yeah, you know.
Okay. Hold on. Okay. Okay. So. Okay. 1 second. I will be with you in a second. My. Okay. Let me just bracket that off. Unification of ego. Okay. No, it's not in. Okay. I can't literally because the things I can't literally write this for you. I'm just going to have to like when it gets to the actual words themselves, that's all you. I'm just gonna I want to try and bring you to a structure as and however far I have to go. The less I go, the better. But I want to reach a point where you're like, okay, there we go. And then when we reach a certain point where you can do it yourself, this is perfect. So,
Well, no, you're definitely helping me. I'm trying to like because Taoism is definitely part of my thing, and there's a whole thing. Even the idea of Jordan Peterson, the fact that this guy on my Facebook page when talking about Jordan Peterson, and then he mentioned Taoism.
yeah.
I was like,
Okay.
like, and again, I'm a white dude, but like,
Mm-hmm.
I kind of understand Taoism because like I was exposed to Taoism when I was like 13, and like I started studying martial arts and Taoism versus like
That's cool. Let's talk about that because I mean, and I'm interrupting you, but I want to just sort of mention, where would it be? Where would it be? I wanted to sort of just remind ourselves of the mind map that we created at the very first session, and I'm trying to work out where the fuck that is. So let me just because this mind map, this was not the structure of the book. This is the structure of tenets and kind of themes that we wanted to make sure that we went across, because any of them
we never mentioned Taoism, right? We never mentioned
we did mention Taoism. No, we did. We mentioned Eastern, sort of the Eastern world, and how the Eastern ideas are both touching upon what the Western world has, but what the Western world has not yet as well, perhaps. Right. So let's just
Easternism is not homogeny. It's like it's multiple layers of stuff. So
that's right. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to share the screen, hoping that we can do this properly. Okay, let's have a look. Let's just go for it. See what happens. Okay, so are we in? Can you see it? Oh, I'll add it. Okay.
Yeah.
So here we are. So now with this, before we say anything, I want to just sort of couple this by sort of saying that I have a bit of a structure from how this essay on identity is going to begin. So what happens is you confess your Taoist tendencies leave you knowing that your Orientalism as a white dude, your history of Orientalism and all the rest of that. And so that kind of brings that leftism into acknowledgement, and this kind of whatever it is, it's your sort of leftist tendencies.
Well, even the idea of like I identify. How can I identify with these constructs from an ancient past? Even what is the stories or what is being said that make me identify with them? Why are these things talking about anarchy? Even
yeah. Okay, right. So we're gonna so for example, to sort of bring us in a bit. So then it happens is you sort of say that you sort of bring an identity, and you say the reification of the ego, and then you say you're a Taoist, but not in the Western progressivist sense. And then you sort of say, speaking of Taoism, did you know that there's not only the Lao Tzu form, which is the one everyone is familiar with, but also the Xuanzu butterfly dream analogy? And then you can bring in this idea, while I'm talking about identity and Taoism, I want to mention that Xuanzu's analogy is very similar to perhaps the Zizekian idea of fictions being reality. And then you bring in the Trump card, which is the fiction is the reality, the narrative is the world, and the identity is the person in a certain way, but not in the way that we think. And this
Jimmy, I like what you're going with that. This is so okay. I totally agree with everything you said, but now how do we argue against that?
Well, it's your idea. So you could agree.
Again, I'm being skeptical of my own ideas or cynical of my own ideas.
That's fine.
But yeah, like the idea of the identity as arguably we well live within a construct. There's the non-fictional and the fictional, and the non-fictional is the real.
Yes, but this is yes.
Okay, what I'm saying is that you cannot have the nonfiction without the fiction that already exists. The nonfiction you need. Nonfiction is great, but it necessarily, because the history, what they call historiography, in a actual academic sense, is that you have to how do you frame that history?
That's it. So I sort of see 2 points emerging and stuff. I see both. I mean, if we're looking at this kind of Eastern philosophy part, the more inclusive practices of, all of the Eastern philosophy in terms of how we need to sort of understand, how we need to understand that culture properly as Westerners, but also what the actual ideas mean in terms of how we need to consider our ideologies as central to reality. I'm not even sure I agree, but that doesn't matter. But because They Live, for example, the film They Live, where he puts on the sunglasses and sees the world, you have a very interesting point about the glasses are the ideology, and we see through that to see a different way, and it's a framework of understanding things. This could be a very interesting opener as well, because you could then pull out this other thing up your sleeve where you say, so is philosophy. Philosophy doesn't actually aim for the truth at all, but it aims for a more useful ideology. And that could be a way you could introduce this book in general, because you then have that self-reputational thing that we really wanted to speak about. I think over on the right hand side, something about like, I don't want to take anything I say seriously, and this fiction is part of the reality. So that's a nice way we can introduce the book as well. Do you contest anything I just said?
Like you mentioned about usefulness and stuff, and it plays into the concept of pragmatism.
Yes.
And like the fact that like pragmatism itself is a type of ideology, right?
Yes.
And arguably philosophy itself isn't just so. You know about Chuang-Tzu? Chuang-Tzu's had a story about the tree and the useful tree.
Mm-hmm.
And how it survived. And the tree survived because it was unuseful.
Yes.
The unusefulness of the tree allowed it to survive more than its usefulness value.
Yeah.
Right. And conceptually, that's the framework I'd like to talk to. But like when you talk about economics, use value, right, which is economic.
Yep.
It plays into Marxian theory and stuff. Like, the tree is just, arguably the use of the tree far expands just it being a fucking product. It's a part of the community. Right? How we talk about these, like besides its concrete, like reductive value. And that's the Taoism that I'm on. Taoism isn't like a reductionist value. Like in argument, like this guy on the fucking like I don't understand why he was like Jordan Peterson was talking about Taoism. And arguably, like a lot of like Taoism isn't talking about like use value in even the Marxian sense.
Yeah.
And that's what the Chuang-Tzu was talking about. He was Chuang-Tzu was postmodern before postmodern was even postmodern.
Hold on. Yeah. He was. Yep. That's good. Before postmodernism existed, much long before. But that ticks off a box over here. If we see on our eastern side, we might have said something to do with. Where is it? Yeah, there we go. I mean, literally said Chuang-Tzu there. Commonalities between ancient Eastern and modern Westerners. Camus versus Chuang-Tzu. And I know that's been a whole thing that you wanted to sort of mention. This is a good place to mention it, because you're not going to mention it outright. You're going to mention it implicitly in lots of essays over time. That's what the styles are.
Camus versus Chuang-Tzu?
Something like that. That might have been just... Let's not get into specifics. Let's not do that.
That's very true. I would argue Camus is Chuang-Tzu.
Okay. Yeah. No. I mean versus. I mean which one thought of it first? That's the kind of thing. And obviously you're arguing the latter. But that's. I didn't want to get into specifics because I know that's the problem that we always run into.
I never read a lick of Camus, but like I've read a bunch of Chuang-Tzu.
Doesn't matter.
They map completely together.
I'm exactly. Well, that's cool. But that's your. This is all you anyway. So like, but anyway. I was just saying that's kind of the general commonalities between ancient Eastern and modern Western ideas.
They're not necessarily new ideas because
exactly.
Because they're rediscoveries. Like they're discoveries. Are they embedded in the world? Are they embedded? Like in the embeddedness sense of Heidegger, even
for sure. Well, but yeah, I mean, like embeddedness and interdependence is a Heideggerian idea, but it's really kind of a Buddhist idea and all of that, and a Hindu idea. But let me just I wasn't trying to open a conversation about it. I was just saying that we have to we can use this diagram as a place to consistently find opportunities to bring them up. So like, and I'm saying here is a good idea. When you say Xuanzhu was saying the usefulness of the tree caused it to survive instead of he was postmodernism before postmodernism existed. This is a good place to do it. And I'm going to send this to you at the end as a kind of little structure so you can start writing this essay. And I want to just also say, I also want to sort of mention that it's important that we kind of retain the original idea of this essay while also going up. As long as we can come back and bring something back from the adventure that kind of keeps the kind of message forward, then I think we'll be good.
Yeah. So I'm working through this ethics about use value,
yes.
right? And the idea of like, I'm an anarchist.
Yes.
And I don't like the concept of anything tell me anything about what the world is.
Mm-hmm.
And so use value is a thing, though.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Right? I'm a consumer.
Mm-hmm.
I shit and poop, and I take from the world.
Yeah.
I eat of the world. Like liberally speaking, I want to imagine myself being beyond that, being free of use.
Yeah.
Right.
Yep.
And like, you can be like, that's not possible. That's utopian thought.
Yeah.
Yeah. But the idea is that arguably most people in themselves are struggling to discover that type of freedom beyond like just the being just like used with the world.
Mm-hmm.
Being used. And like like how do we talk towards those people about like the suffering underneath these like, and our use value is fucked because of capitalism, right?
Yeah.
But use value, like even the utilitarian sounds, we're talking about use value. We're talking about use value. That's utilitarianism, right?
Yeah.
Right. The idea that like even a trolley problem, you got like one person and you can kill 5 people, right? That's utilitarian construct.
Yeah. They're all constructs. I want to just sort of and so the question is, when we talk about the constructs of are we useful, are we pawns? So let me just trolley problem, consumerism, we are all pawns, or we could say we are all piano keys, which is a Dostoevsky term. We're not piano keys, which is as Dostoevsky would say.
Yeah.
So I want to just sort of mention we are not completely our framework. I just want to sort of ask, because I know that you have so much. I know that you have such a strong belief on the fiction being integrated with the reality. I want to just ask you to put those two together so we can go nice and full circle. So when we talk about consumerism, I eat a shit.
I think it has to do with the idea of the imaginary.
Yeah.
Right?
Go on.
The idea that the imaginary necessarily is being incorporated into our sense of self and our identity itself.
Yeah.
The allowance for what's possible.
Yeah.
Arguably the identity as far as like a numerical quantity, the idea of the way like numbers behave, like an identity is the same thing as what they call a nominal value.
Yeah, like a referent. Yeah. Like a signifier.
Yeah. Right.
Mm-hmm.
And be able to actually incorporate that into acknowledgement as being necessary in the world. The nominal value.
Mm-hmm.
I have a weird name. Look at I have a tag name. Do you notice my tag name?
Pseudosauna. I saw that. It's a cool name. Maybe you could call yourself that. You'd sound like an Eastern yogic if you called yourself that.
I am Pseudosauna.
Yes.
What do you mean? I'm CD. No, it's like I've done the Pseudosauna. Look it up. Go. If you type it into Google.
Go on. I'll do it.
You type it up.
All right. I feel like we have kind of enough to Sudarsana chakra. The medieval Sudarsana is a spinning disc-like weapon, literally meaning disc of auspicious vision, having 108 serrated edges used by the Hindu god Vishnu or Krishna. The Sudarshana chakra is generally portrayed on the right rear. So yeah, it's a what does it say? A terrifying deity of destruction for whose worship special tantric rituals were devised. You could like I don't know. That could be there's a book title there. If you're going to title yourself as CD the Sage, can you give me something really Western and superficial, like that starts with an S, something like like soda or something? But because you could call yourself like you could totally call this book maybe like I don't know Sudashana and soda or Sudashana and pop. So like
hold on. You're missing the reference as Sudarsana in my actual real name, CD.
Okay, I didn't. Okay, go on.
CD as the disc. The CD as.
Didn't realize that. I'm gonna put that in. I'm gonna put that in here as well. I might put that at the end. Okay. Sudashana as a disc, CD. Question mark. I was thinking of a way that we could perhaps inspire ourselves to have a title on that.
I'm a brand. I was born a brand.
Mm-hmm.
I'm the disc. I embraced that concept like metaphysically years ago, and I'm still trying to incorporate that beingness into myself.
Yeah.
How where I am at about like talking about the world, and like Sudarsana and like the disc, like Krishna would use that as a device to cut people's heads off. And they used to have a discus that they would throw and cut people's heads off. It was like a thing. The discus was not a joke. You literally decapitate people with them.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm still like I discovered this identity years ago. Like, and arguably, like I am that person who's an avatar. And I'm still trying to like find like and arguably like what am I reincarnation of self or whatever?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, are we talking about egoism right now?
Yeah.
Like what's the egoist dimensions? I've already broken that shit down.
Well, absolutely. I want to sort of like kind of just give a kind of idea about like. Because I think this is really cool.
I've already studied like Eastern esoteric stuff, and I do believe that I do have a message from Krishna, even.
I've never doubted that for a second. I've known you.
Krishna is the idea of Krishna is the concept of God who's a qualitative being. He's not has nothing to do with quantitative aspects. We're talking about the qualitative aspects of beingness. What is the quality?
Okay.
And is quality ideology?
Okay. We're getting somewhere really good. Okay.
Morality is it oughtness? This invisible, like this frameworks that all humans we live within this realm of oughtness, and morality, and quality.
So how do we get from this quality and quantity discussion from what was the thing we were talking about that led us to this quality quantity discussion? So I can know.
Well, idea like opposed to Krishna.
There we go. Thank you. Yes,
in a tantric sense would be in a time sense, even a sense of time, is Shiva. Okay, Shiva is the quantitative. He's the master of time. Okay.
Yeah.
Now, but he's also the future. As like he has the eye that can destroy, because the eye of annihilation. When he awakens, the end of the world happens. Okay? Okay, and Shiva is the quantitative. He's the matter. Or and these are all like tantric stuff. But these are all philosophical concepts that were already discussed a long time ago.
Going back to ancient Eastern beliefs have been hijacked by Western. Okay, I think I might have used the where the bloody hell did that go? Okay, give me a second. What am I supposed? Okay, let me just find that. We go into identity. We go into that. Is that it? No, that's not where it is. And have I just lost it? Okay, so there is something. There was a place where I was putting those notes. I don't know exactly where they are though, which is kind of annoying. It's all right. I mean, I'm just going to like. Oh, this is that thing. Okay. Let's have a look, mate. Where would it be? In here? Where the hell would it be? Yeah, because I lost the actual the placement of
Well, so anyways, a lot of this has to do with like Vedanta philosophy. Have you heard of Vedanta philosophy? Like they have something to do with that. Like, Vedanta approaches it, but it doesn't get into the Tantra. The Tantra is a Shiva. Vedanta has to do with like ideological and rational, like, you know, and arts in a lot of ways. Where like when Shiva philosophy has to do with the is. Okay, Shiva philosophy is like I'm dead already. The dead is the real. Okay, not because of like, because the future doesn't exist. It's that the dead is what creates the future and allows for the future.
Yeah. I'm so sorry. I've just sort of like, I was writing the document, and I've just suddenly misplaced. I've misplaced the exact place I've put it, which is just really bloody annoyed the hell out of me. Is it in here? Nope, it's not here. And I know it's in one of these places. I just don't know exactly where.
Find it. Take your time. Like, regardless,
it's absolutely fine. I mean, like at least we have the kind of, we have it here anyway. It's just that's really annoyed me. And I will find it. It's just it was a really nice thing where I was getting to like this kind of this central idea about like I wanted to sort of mention Krishna and kind of this, you know, again a return to how Western philosophy has kind of hijacked Eastern philosophy, which is really annoying that for somehow it just got lost in one of my accounts. I don't exactly know where it would be either.
I like how you like summarized it, essentially.
That's it. Well, that's it. And I did sort of reduce it to a linear thing, but that's the nice thing about it. And I want to be able to show that to you. I just don't exactly know.
A lot of these concepts, like a lot of like modern philosophers act like they're talking about something new.
Yeah.
Which, you know, like this is not something that hasn't been long discussed within many cultures, or like specifically within the Hindu culture. You know, like, and arguably because of Orientalism or whatever, we can't see it. We can't see that these people were talking about something similar, and arguably even mathematics, like numbers, like the way numbers emerged and stuff, come from fucking Hinduism. Like zero was from Hinduism. It's not even that the Persians themselves didn't fucking do it. They're the bunch of mathematics. But the fucking Hindus are like, what about the number zero? What are you gonna do about that?
Yep.
You know,
I'm so pissed. I'm so annoyed that it's just sort of run off. That this sort of document has run off, and I have no way of knowing where it's gone to because it was I was writing it here. Is there any place I can sort of can I just add a new one? Is that a new thing? Can I just do a new document? Is that what I can do? I mean, no, I don't think I have to do that. How bloody bizarre! But I wanted to sort of continue writing about Krishna because I knew I was going to get 5 new original crazy ideas thrown at me before I even found it. It's just one of those things.
Hold on. So, let me break down for you a little etymological origins of Krishna. What my etymological origin, what I understand Krishna means, right?
Mm-hmm.
Krishna means without action.
Yeah.
Okay, so the Chris is action. The Kree or Chris is action. The Na is without.
Mm-hmm.
Without action is the world. Is the definition of the world. How do we define the world and talk about the world without action?
Mm-hmm. That's it.
Right?
Yeah.
That's why I'm a Krishna guy. Like I like Krishna because we were talking about like world without action. Qualitative world. The qualitative. The quantitative is action.
Mm-hmm.
It's the phenomenal. It's the only thing that you can do. The only thing that's real is when somebody does something in the world, and that's defined the real. I'm going to do some violence in the world. I'm going to commit some atrocities. That's what the real is.
Mm-hmm. So I'm just going to. So what we'll do. Okay. So you confess. Okay. So we're going to start. You confess. I'm going to be really quick about this because I hate having to. I don't mind doing an arduous task. I hate doing the smallest task twice. It's my.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
No. It's okay, and I'm sorry I became a bit grouchy about that. I'm sure it's fine though. It's just I really want to. I was ready to just send it to you, and I don't know where it's gone. But anyway, besides the point. Let's think. Okay, you confessed. So you can start by saying you confess your Western heritage leads. It has a history of Orientalism. Okay, history of Orientalism. Okay, I've got it in my head. It's fine. Even someone suggested JPB was a Taoist, which you think is very silly. And I'm just going to go all of this. If you have anything that is wrong about what I said, just let me know. But there is not just Lao Tzu. It'll be quite impressive if I remember everything we spoke about. And I think I might be able
to. Zhuangzi it was highly influential beyond Lao Tzu, but there's also Lai Tzu.
Yeah. I mean, let's just focus on Xuanzu for now. Dreaming he's a man, which leads to the point. Okay. Oh yeah. I remember you saying at the beginning, identity is rarefied. Oh, let's just change that back. Identity. I'm just going to get through this very quickly because that way I don't have to spend time stressing so much about losing it. And this will save this time. It did save last time, but whatever. Identity is rarefied ego. And then you said something else about something else, but like you confess your Western heritage as a history, which leads to the point that the narrative is the real, and the fiction is the reality, or whatever. And identity is the real self. The question is, of course, how we actually deal with that. And then you can mention that Xuanzu spoke of usefulness. Okay, here we go. Xuanzu spoke of usefulness in the tree context. A tree. He was postmodern before postmodernism. Nevertheless, we are in a world where we are useful. Use value, tools, consumerism.
Right.
Hold on. Consumerism, trolley problem, etc. But can we be more? And then I'll do like anarchism, etc. And then we can sort of talk about and then towards the end, I remember sort of writing. I'll do like a sort of pretend quote from you. Even these frameworks, I say, are frameworks. I do not take them I do not take them seriously, and I am. What was it? For God's sake, it's just so annoying to lose something when you've written it in a way that you quite like. Do not take them seriously, and I am not words. Words are a philosopher. I am a human. And then and then that's kind of like you sort of saying it in this kind of self-refutation way, in a self-refutation context. I'm human in the self-refutation context. But there was other stuff as well that I remember talking about, and this is nice. It's nice to sort of do this again in a certain way because we're also sort of going through everything that we spoke about. Sudashana, the weapon, but also the disc, and then your name is CD, and then again sort of talking about commodification and the commodification of beliefs and symbols, but also of people.
The brand, yes,
the brand, lovely stuff. And then we have the, and then there's also, God, it's never good. It's never good enough a second time. I'm going to be sulking about that all morning. But the brand, and then there's Krishna, and you can define define it, and then define it. And there's also. What were you saying? What were you saying about Krishna? That was
Krishna means without action.
Mm-hmm. Yes, without action. But you spoke about it in the sense of something else that was. Yes, the whole identity as qualitative or quantitative, right?
Right. Well, yeah.
What was your connection again?
The identity itself is not quantitative. It's always qualitative.
Yeah.
It's the idea that qualitative is the framework that we would live within as humans.
Yeah.
What it means to be human.
Yeah.
Is qualitative. Quantitative is the machinic logic.
Yeah. Quantitative is the machine is the machinic logic. I like that. It does. This really kind of rings true with the way you're sort of like, I don't know, the sort of way you're thinking about thinking. You're sort of refuting kind of philosophy and refuting philosophy and Western thought in a way that brings us back to the sort of the body, I suppose, somaticism and
we have to discuss how the body is machinic logic at this point in time, and how like and what brings us back to the body is the body necessarily machinic?
Well, I know what you're getting at. I suppose I just sort of mean brings us out of our thoughts, I suppose. Using the thoughts themselves. I mean, that might be the kind of better way of saying it. I only use the body as like a next place to go to.
Right. Well, I mean, there's a whole concept, especially with Western thought, that the machine is the body is a machine. We treat the body as a machine.
Yeah.
If the body doesn't perform as X, then we're disappointed in the body.
Yeah. Yeah, and I'm thinking about coming back.
Western, that's a totally Western thing. It's not like that's not what the Eastern folks were really trying to talk about. Like your body they were saying your body is consciousness.
Yeah,
and it's not machinic logic. But we approach the body because we can quantify the body. We can quantify the body as being this thing and this and all these other things.
Yeah,
That's not the whole of the body, regardless.
Okay, so I see 2 points emerging here. Just before we sort of, I wanted to have more time to sort of talk about the causality one, but perhaps we can do that another time, very, very, very soon.
Yeah, the whole causality thing is like a whole tunnel. Yes,
it's a whole other thing I'd say at this point. I wanted to know how they connected, but this is good. This is good. We found some really good things, and I suppose there are 2 points, and I kind of want to. There are 2 points I think you're bringing up, and I want to find a way to sort of marry them, I suppose. And that would be the first point would be that. Well, the second point is obviously referring to this kind of Eastern versus Western conception of not only who we are, but how we think and what's important. And the first point is how the fiction is the reality. The dream has become the reality. And I want to find a way they're both relevant together to have it as one essay. And that is absolutely the way we have to do this, I think, because they're so connected in themselves, but I feel like the actual points that emerge aren't married enough to me. But you can probably help me out with that.
Well, I mean, I hope so, but I mean,
yes. Yeah. So we're talking about
like. So we're like at this point in time in nature, we as humans understand the world.
Mm-hmm.
We think we know the world.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I mean, we're at the point where like you ought to wear a mask because the world exists.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So how do we like talk about ourselves anymore without acknowledging like the COVID virus or climate change?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, like, we ought to center ourselves and talk about the human and how we even potentially can exist and survive climate change or COVID?
Mm-hmm.
Or maybe we ought to be talking about like how, you know, there's systems that are emerging that desire to emerge that we're also part of, and becoming part of those things. I'm on the post-human framework, or even the transhuman framework,
Okay.
Like the human never existed. It was always transhuman, necessarily. It was always beyond itself.
Mm-hmm. Like the Ubermensch, somewhat.
Yes. It's very similar to the Nietzschean concept.
Man is something that must be overcome.
Yeah.
Hold on. I think I might have a nice little way to sort of marry these 2 things. You don't literally have to sort of say this is my first conclusion, this is my second conclusion. They are married, but you can sort of. But there is sort of something here to be said about the connection between the post-human or the fictional human as the as I don't know, as present. And also perhaps the Eastern idea of the Brahman and the Atman. And I'm sure you know much about that as well.
No, like if you were like, okay, so like you were like you like way to like hedge roll, but like it's Trojan horse some shit. The Brahmin versus the Atman.
Mm.
You really want to go there?
Well, okay, I'm not. I'm trying not to Trojan horse.
I know.
No.
That whole conversation is a whole fucking like.
It's a whole other thing, isn't it? But okay.
It gets really deep about like when we're talking about what the Brahmin is versus the Atman, right? And the Atman doesn't exist without the Brahmin. First off, it's a product of the Brahmin.
Yeah.
Okay.
But perhaps we can find an Eastern concept of the self that sort of marries into what you're sort of talking about the idea of the self being fiction and reality. Is there anything you have about that we can sort of put those 2 together?
I mean Shiva.
Shiva. Okay, there we go. Yeah, I remember you saying that because I was distracted. Okay, perfect.
Shiva is the ego.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Shiva is
the
material. He's the material, like in the death cycle. Yes.
Gotcha. Okay. Now I was using Brahman just I wanted to find something up my okay, that's a much better one.
When you mentioned Brahman, but here's the thing. When we talk about the qualitative, like I mentioned earlier, okay, there's 3 aspects of the qualitative in the tantric Hindu sense or whatever. These are the male deities, regardless. You know, there's the Brahma, who's Brahma, and there's Krishna, and there's Shiva.
Yeah.
Okay, and they each one of those map towards a certain temporal idea of space and time. Okay.
Yeah.
That Krishna's perception of time and space is not the same as Shiva in time and space. It's not the same thing as Brahma. Okay. Okay, and so the Brahma, I don't know if you know this, but the Brahma is like arguably is like even etymologically associated with the word strength.
Okay.
Okay. The idea that the Brahma is where it was like the unknown, the previous possibilities and impossibilities that haven't emerged yet. Okay, the Brahma is the past. Krishna is the present, and Shiva is the future.
Yeah.
You know, in a temporal sense.
Yeah.
And again, these are qualities. The qualitative is time. Time is the qualitative.
Well, yeah, different ways to think about time as well, isn't there?
Yeah.
The qualitative, yeah. The qualitative is time. You know, it's vague and you can't exactly define it in the same sort of way.
You can limit this. You can say it's all about space and shit. Space is real, you know. You know, the actual, but like when you're talking about like what like humans do when they're within our simple rituals in our life, we get up in our morning and take a shower and like imagine the future. We're already doing far more beyond just the past.
Yeah.
We're living in the moment, doing a thing, which is potential possibility of futures. And yes, it incorporates. This is time, though. This is just time. We're not talking about like space. Now, space can allow for time too, right? And space arguably plays back into the Brahman principle. Back up, we talk about Brahman, the cosmological. Brahma is strength. That's the cosmological. The past is real as we can define what is real.
Yes, facticity, as the existentialists would say.
The fact, of the world, and even like when we use like empirical science and talk about the world.
Yeah,
we're talking about the past as the world. We're not talking about the now or the future.
Yeah. Let me just do something. Okay, I feel if we are to maybe do it and sort of wrap this up in a nice little bow, I'm going to find something wonderful. So we've now kind of reached a kind of thing where I'm going to basically bring up the notes I've written on screen. And I'm just going to show you them as we see them today, and then I'm going to show the mind map again, and then we're going to be sort of like looking through everything that we've kind of, because the styles were just sort of something we wanted to sort of pop up in the book, and I was looking at the styles in the sort of the mind map drawing, and most of them do come up, and that's really cool because we want to make sure we cover every single aspect of how you think. So. Identity by the Sage. So this is like, reified ego, Western heritage, history, and Orientalism. So we have this kind of big thing here. The narrative is the real and the fiction is the reality. We've already spoken about this. Xuan Su, all of that stuff. Sudarshana, all of that stuff. And then we have refuting philosophy and Western thought in a way that brings us out of our thoughts in the thoughts themselves. We also have the kind of,
I never mentioned I never mentioned karma in the. By the way, I never mentioned karma.
Yeah,
and I think karma is the idea. The concept of karma plays into this. Absolutely, like the idea of what's karma.
And then I thought, yeah. And then I thought at the end there was this kind of this way that you could maybe finish off the thing in a nice sort of, in a nice kind of self-refutational end. I thought that'd be quite nice. So excuse my rudeness. I'm going to then just look up the. I'm then going to look up the. Let's see. Let's get this right. Okay, perfect. So in terms of that, it's pretty much all here. Western metaphysics, history of Western thought, mythology is philosophy. That's definitely there here for this, let's say. Shamanic thought, the lines are blurry. We should be explorative rather than principled or certain. That's definitely there. Eastern philosophy, definitely there. Leftism, with a bit of cuckoology and self-deprecation about being white, but you certainly see that as actually definitely a good point to sort of talk about, as do I. Perhaps sciences and epigenetics. I think the COVID virus that we mentioned can be very kind of good in how we think about ourselves. And then finally, the styles. I'm sure you can turn this into some hilarious. Have a lot of hilarious one-liners that come out of this essay. Commonalities between ancient Eastern and modern Western thought, definitely there. Is an ABC. So it's a web of convergences. So you're definitely going to be kind of like going into new points, but coming back in to the main 2 points. And roots of words, obviously, you're going to be doing that all over this. Poetry, definitely, and the book's a compilation of essays. We've already done that, and I think this all around the context of these two kind of ideas about look at these real, like, clear examples of Eastern and Western thought and how one has perhaps hijacked the other, and also when we talk about ourselves as fiction, as the fiction is the reality, and all of that. So I'm going to send you that. So what do you?
I love
it. Yeah. So this is I want to think that I want to sort of imagine this is something that you can sort of take and perhaps you can build on this. I'll send you the document. Make this your own document entirely. Just keep everything I've said in case you lose something you want to retain and remember again. And I also want to before we wrap things up properly, I want to sort of go through the introductory thing that we kind of wrote in the first thing we did.
Go pee real quick. I have to pee. I really have to.
Oh, go for it. Well, I'll wait to load this up, man. Don't worry.
I'm gonna stumble into my wall. Do you see it?
Yeah.
Wow, that was a really long pee.
It didn't feel like that long at all. I still haven't got the.
I really like holy crap.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of pee coming out of me.
Yeah, I think anything longer than 10 seconds is long for me.
I was like, I was getting into some dark realms. I was like, holy crap, is this pee ever going to end? I got scared for a minute.
Shiva had come and kept you in a piss loop. I wanted to also. Sorry.
Did Shiva possess me and like suddenly it was like pee eternally? Yeah.
The The price of P eternal. If Dylan hears that, I'm hoping for him to to make a comment on it. The price of P eternal. So if he says that to me, I'll know he's watched the whole thing. So okay, so I'm just going through all of this sort of stuff because this is these kinds of this intro here is sort of something that I might imagine you could sort of write as a kind of prologue to these essays. You don't even have to write a prologue, but I think there's really cool ideas here that I think people should definitely read about at length. And then there's obviously these points here. I would like you to sort of go through this again. I would really, but this is obviously
I need to go through it again.
Yes. Yeah. So yeah, I mean, just reading through all of that, Eastern and Western thought. Eastern ontology is impermanence. Western ontology is permanence. What is the state? But there's so much here. It's still difficult to organize it all, and I understand that. But that's why it's been wonderful to sort of write something very particularly focused on two main points. I would definitely invite you to come back to this document, the modern shamanism general one, and maybe pick out some stuff like this one here. Good Lord, what a lovely way of saying it. Like, that's an absolutely lovely way of saying it. Also, the state is an imaginary concept, is fictional, is dramaturgical, and you can't leave the stage. Stuff like that. That's a wonderful thing as well. And when we're talking about fiction and reality, that could be something that you might take inspiration from. And now, of course, we have this essay that we've kind of drafted together on identity, where we're sort of focusing on these two main points that we as well as weaving in and out. So if you can, I would invite you to go really far out and maybe explore something, as long as you can bring something back to make this sort of main journey more useful in some way, rather than you sort of suddenly.
For me, when I'm like when I write, it becomes really difficult for me to
Yeah.
It's like, because I want to put I can't really talk about my writing process really, but
well, this is but that and that's the thing. And I want to kind of get you. I want to kind of sort of get you in a sort of motion, get you in a sort of momentum and emotion as slowly as I need to before I can,
Jimmy doing just fucking amazing and fine.
So we got we have this,
You've done tickled my asshole just enough.
I want to read this fucking book. That's what I'm doing.
I
we all want to read this fucking book.
You're literally reading the book as we talk, but
Yes. Well, with this essay, this will hopefully be more what happened. What happened the last time we did this was it was a lot of points, and it may have been harder to sort of bring the horse in or whatever. But this is much more manageable, even for anyone really.
We can accomplish this succinctly, right? Necessarily succinctly, but see, like I'm arguing against Christian Cotton was saying that the philosophical necessarily must be the regulative.
Yes, necessarily, without any exception.
Right. Which was that's some gatekeeping shit right there.
Yeah, for sure.
I mean, if philosophical, if you really want to talk about what philosophy is, philosophy has to be the diaspora and allow for the diaspora. And how do you allow for the diaspora within philosophy without becoming sociology or geology or whatever? It's still all philosophy. Someone Neil deGrasse Tyson would come along and be like, I'm going to talk about physics and shit. You're still doing philosophy.
Oh yeah. Well, and Dawkins especially, but I think I talk about Dawkins too much anyway. But this is wonderful, and this is something that we can really sort of, And
Delusion's project was to rediscover or make philosophy more relevant. He acknowledged even back in the 1960s, Deleuze and Guattari were acknowledging that philosophy was not even relevant anymore.
Yeah. And that's this thing. I'd argue that philosophy is more important than science. I have a friend who is basically, he's a scientist. You know, he's doing a biologist job. He has a biology degree, and it was quite. I felt like a bit of an asshole because I was like, "Do you think philosophy is more important than science, or the other way around, or they're the same?" And he said, as a scientist, he said, "I think they're the same." And I said, "I think philosophy is more important." And I felt really sad to not meet him halfway. I was like, I'm not going to do that to Panda. I still think it's more important. And that's
I mean, even the idea that philosophy equates to physics, because physics is about materialism and the real.
Yes.
Truth.
Uh-huh.
What is truth?
Yeah.
Philosophy is like, wait a minute, wait a second. And arguably, that's the dimension where like we can go into sociology, and other like, like post-leftist frameworks.
It's a problem because like philosophy preceded physics. Philosophy will come after physics. I'm very sure. And not to mention the fact that physics is always going to be so. Philosophy it's kind of boxed in, I think, because philosophy comes before physics in the past. Physics it will come after physics in the future. The things that guide and operationalize and create an idea of physics are created by philosophy. And the actual things that we do because of physics are also because of philosophy. It's completely.
Did you say the word operationalize?
I did, yes.
Nice.
Yes, and that's the and even in this sort of vertical sort of way we could think about it. The way in which we come to understand the world comes from philosophy in terms of what we're looking at, why we're looking at it, why we're looking at the universe, and then the ideas of like we should build a rocket ship to Mars based on physics lessons that we learned is also based on philosophical idea.
Philosophy isn't limited to this top-down perspective, right? Right. It's not. It's more than that. It's more than that and arguably, we in philosophy department have allowed for Elon Musk.
Elon Musk. May he guide us into the future.
Well, right. Philosophically speaking, we've allowed for that.
Yeah.
And arguably, his physics, like he doesn't understand physics. If he's trying to do this thing, he's like he doesn't understand physics. This doesn't work that way.
I'm not even against. I don't even think Elon Musk is like an evil person or anything. I think that it's the spectacle of Elon Musk is an interesting thing.
Well, the spectacle could have been anybody. Anybody in his shoes. And the idea is why it allowed for somebody like Elon Musk or Jeff Bezos is the problem. We're not talking about individuals anymore. We're talking about the problem of the spectacle. And how we talk about what's real and actual, and the spectacle is part of it.
Yeah.
Like, and it definitely has to do with like our information and how we receive information, and I don't know what's real because I've never heard about the fucking Cuban embargo. I only learned about Cuba, because I want them to be free. But you never heard about like the fact that like America has been like cut them off from resources for like 60 years or something.
and then saying there's communism. That's so funny.
Right.
But yeah, it's yeah. I mean, what we on? We're on like an hour and 30 minutes. I've been whipping you the past hour and a half, and I don't feel good doing it. But I feel
it's like Jim Hapax WIP.
It does, doesn't it? That's what our company really is. We just whip people. We claim to be a decentralized company, and here we are being more tyrannical than anyone else.
I'm an aesthetic, so I might just like you whipping me, and so and that's the whole thing. And like you guys, if you guys enjoy whipping me too much, it just might be a thing.
It would be harder if you need to. No,
I mean, I need to get work. I need to get with an emotional framework can I actually write.
I know. But I know. But it's like when people sort of say like my flatmate's girlfriend Grace really wants to play drums. And the real problem with learning a musical instrument is that people I've played music since I was 8, and I'm 24 now, 25 this year, and I've still kept at it because I've wanted to and because it's enjoyable. And so I know a thing or two about being consistent with music.
Oh, hold on.
Yeah.
Jimmy, let me tell you what. I do not own a djembe.
You don't own a djembe?
I don't own a djembe.
After everything you just spoke about, everything you believe.
Yes, I'm telling you, I don't have a djembe anymore.
You have a native flute? Do you have a katana?
No, I'm telling you, the djembe is my fucking instrument. I'm telling you, I can drum the fuck out of some shit.
Yeah, that's fucking awesome.
You know, and definitely like when we're talking about like what's lacking and what's missing, music's part of it, right? You know, like how we talk about the world.
Yeah,
real music, definitely part of it.
Yeah, man. It's phenomenal. It's affectual rather than effectual. If you want to, if we want to use, that's your thing.
There you go, brother.
Yeah, this is what's going to happen. So what I was saying about music was people punish themselves so quickly because they're not amazing after a while, and the problem is they don't do it because they enjoy it. They do it because they want to be good. And even if you're good, there's no point if you don't enjoy it anyway. But the thing is that
that's a whole fucking method. Like there's a whole narrative about like what music is and what as opposed to like just being what it is.
Like a productive thing. And it's like, but even people who do it because I have a friend called Lossie, and she was like really punishing herself and not getting the timings right on these classical pieces her teacher was getting her to write. Let me finish this. Yeah, let me finish this.
Timing is fucking a bitch, right? You know, as a drummer, I fully acknowledge that, right?
Yeah. And that's the thing. I listened to some of her stuff after a while because she'd finally got the confidence to show me, and it was pristine. It was immaculate timing, and the thing is, I know that I think she played as a child, and now she's getting more into it as she's growing up. And I was just so shocked at how hard she was being on herself. And after like a year, and I knew I can see the signs that after a few, generally, if you're too hard on yourself, and if you're not at the level you want to be, you stop. Anyway, my analogy is that I want with Grace, I want to gently push her into a place where she really likes drumming and feels really enjoyable.
Well, I mean,
I want to do the same thing with you, basically.
Right. Well, right. I appreciate that, Jimmy. But arguably, it's because she wasn't in a climate where she was able to acknowledge that she wasn't really true and solid, and
as well.
Like she, absolutely. As a drummer or any performance artist, you're gonna, you have to critique yourself. But like, if you're not within a community that's acknowledging that how actually tight you are as a drummer, even, maybe that was a thing that she just never had with her experience with drumming. I'm not afraid. And arguably, I don't come from that. Arguably, I come from a fucking jazz. Like, I will fuck up some drums. Like, in the fact that I will fuck up with your timing.
Yeah.
Because I'll skip and I'll move on to a different timing.
You'll do what's it called? What's that thing called when you what's it called? Polymetric? No, it's not polymetric. It's a different kind of difficulty. It's where you're playing it's where you're playing in a different context. It's the same beat but a different context. I forget what it's called.
I don't know.
Okay, it doesn't matter exactly.
But and arguably, like me, so I listen to here's my story about music goes. I listen to normal 4/4 time music my whole life. Okay, but my natural rhythm is 3/3.
3/3.
Yes.
Not 3/4. I would be. You mean 3/4?
3/3.
3/3.
Yes.
How does 3/3 sound? I'm.
It's jazz. That's African rhythm.
Like I can't like. I get 3/4 because
Yeah, no. My national is 3/3. It's jazz.
Can you give me a demonstration of what 3/3 sounds like?
I don't.
You don't know djembe. You could drum us out. You could drum us out. It's been a very fun.
Broken ass guitar.
Go. Yeah.
3/3.
I'm intrigued.
Okay. 3/3.
Intrigued.
Let's see how I can do it. Like, let's see how I can do it. I'll probably fuck it.
No rush. No rush.
So 3/3.
Yeah.
Oh, let me get in this little. Like, hold on. Let me feel the instrument here. I'm drumming off my broken guitar. Let's see if I can feel so like when we talk about triplets.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
You know what triplet is in a drum.
Yeah.
Right? That's 3/3.
Mm-hmm.
So every time you map all music, it's not 3, it's to 4. Or it's not to 4, but to 3.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Okay, and arguably because of Western music, whatever, you want to make 4/4 the map.
Yes. Or 3.
Okay.
Yeah. And 3/4 second place. I think 95%.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The 3, the triplet.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Very strange. Madness. You're pretty good at that. You're pretty good at that.
You can break it down to 4. You can break it down to 4 times. But you break it down to 3 times instead of 4.
Yeah. I'm reading a bit about it. Like, it's more about a triple meter signature. So basically, like triples, as you're saying. But that's madness. We'll have to. Yeah. So when
it really breaks down all Western conception of music. Is like the idea of like.
Yeah, you can't even hit a drum without breaking down Western frameworks. CD. What will we do with you? I'm gonna go. I think.
I love you, man. I'm glad I did it. Now I play my broken guitar for you and drum like I don't have a djembe. Like, no, I'm telling you, man. Like, there's the whole story about me that is not happening in my life.
Yeah. You that could be the name of the book. I do not own a djembe by CD Lesage, but I do own a computer with a keyboard.
We're a voice, for God's sakes. Kill the voice.
Oh man, that's so funny. My keyboard is the djembe. I type in 3/3. I won't type in 4/4 like these Western oppressors.
These fucking Western
fascists. Yeah. 4/4 is fascist. There's a little thing you can play with.
I'm telling you, there's a history there. I'm telling you, I'm not fucking kidding.
I believe you.
I'm not fucking kidding.
I believe you. CD, man, I'm gonna go, man.
I love you, brother.
We'll reconvene. We'll see what the boys think.
Well, I mean, hopefully I can get a djembe. And now I just I have a huge desire. Like I realize. I mean, I was thinking about this last couple of weeks. I need a drum in my life.
Yeah. I've got like some certain like snares and cymbals and stuff. I do the.
No, so djembe is my tool. I had a conga. I used to have a conga, like a bass conga and a little treble bongos.
Oh the ones that are stuck together.
Yeah, like a little bongo, like a treble bongo and a bass conga. And so I played with that a little while in once in my life, but the djembe itself is a powerful fucking instrument, man. I'm telling you, man. It's like, boom.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like you actually feel the vibrations, both like emotionally and physically as well. You feel it.
Yeah, but it like breaks down language.
Yeah, it does.
It tells you a different story about like the way we think about language.
Yeah. Yep.
And even music was like, I mean, language and music is directly associated. And this is all philosophical concepts that we can't talk about because, like, music is just ephemeral fucking nonsense. Like the musical world.
Let's get to the facts.
Exactly.
Maybe that's
real.
There's no past with music. Maybe that's why it's like so. Maybe that's why it's so. I don't know what the word you use because the past is, you can't retain music. You can't be like, oh, I'm so glad we had these verses. Let's remember these verses to get to where we are now. You just feel it. And that's the fucking interesting thing about it,
Yeah, the music's very powerful, and you can always like, and like, arguably, if you really have a point, bring it with music. And timing's everything, right? I mean, I already know timing's everything, whatever that is.
I know that you write poetry. I know that all your writing is in some way poetic. That's absolutely it. But like, you could have like little mini poems in between your.
I've been actually been a little bit on a break from the poetry thing. Yeah.
Sure. You could divide up your more large sort of more sort of operation. I don't know, your more structured essays with not structured, but like your more systematic essays with poems. It could be a nice way for both you to showcase your poems, you to enjoy the writing process, and for the reader to actually be a little less kind of.
And I think that's
digested.
I think it's important to, like, if I want to do that, I think I need to make sure the poems are totally disassociated from the essay.
Yeah. They don't have to. Yeah, it can be just sort of another little light, like a little backlight about who you are and what you are. Like you have these sort of this big sort of floodlight on like your.
God damn it, Jimmy! I love you so much, man. Like you're definitely like co-author of this project.
I don't want to suggest any of my ideas there because that's not. I mean, we obviously overlap a bit, but like we overlap a lot. But like, I don't want you to sort of. I don't want to sort of take over the steering wheel. I want these all to be your.
No. The truth of the matter is that you're a fucking amazing fucking fuckhead. And you're Jim Hapax of WIPP. And who's this person?
This is my flatmate Jack because my life is 5 lives at once. I'm gonna go, CD. You take it easy, man. I love you very much. All right, I'll see you very soon. Goodbye, Suda Sauna. Enjoy your evening. Don't get too drunk now. All right. Don't get drunker than I want to get at some point this weekend because that's not fair. I'm in my fucking 20s. Okay?
Oh, that's
partying. All right, CD. Bye bye.